Do locals really hate motorhomes and campervans? What's the most inappropriate place to camp in a motorhome? Could this be the end for motorhome overnight park-ups in Scotland? We'll find out in this special NC500 episode of Motorhome News. Hi, I'm Ads. You can find links to all the news articles in the video description. The North Coast 500, or NC500, must be the most famous scenic route in the whole of the UK. It is said to be the Route 66 of Scotland. It's a very popular circular driving route going through the Highlands of Scotland, starting and ending at Inverness. It is a well signposted route that goes through amazing scenery and has become very popular over the last few years. A lot of news has appeared recently regarding that area, so I thought it would be a good idea to give it its own dedicated video. And this is it. I want to highlight the problems that tourism is causing so that people are aware of how tourism has affected the area and that they can change their behaviour while exploring this wonderful country and not just piss off the locals and ruin the countryside. In this article from the Herald Scotland, it says that locals have been complaining about tourists and turning vigilante by blocking passing bays. Now, I'm not sure how that helps. It just sounds like it's making the problem worse to me. What are they complaining about? Well, dumping toilet waste and rubbish, bad driving and road etiquette, and staying overnight wherever they want to. For example, a convoy of 14 motorhomes were seen at 8:30 a.m. travelling along the route. It doesn't say whether this was one group or individuals, but travelling in convoy is a bad idea, especially on the single track parts of the route. What tourists forget is that locals and emergency services also use these roads, and if you're causing a tailback or someone wants to get by, then you should just let them. Also, the passing bays are typically only big enough for 2 cars and not 2 motorhomes. So you should keep a gap of at least 1 passing bay between you and the vehicle in front. Tourism on the NC500 has declined since the pandemic, but it is still very busy, and the high volume of traffic has meant that there are huge potholes everywhere. If a tourist gets a burst tyre, then their holiday is ruined and the road is blocked until it gets fixed. Not only that, but a local garage could be miles away and they are already snowed under due to how popular the route is. As for overnight stays or wild camping, you can go and camp anywhere you like, but in a tent, not a motorhome. Wild camping doesn't apply to vehicles. As an example of inappropriate places where campers stay, this article sent to me by Gillian Shaw tells us that people are choosing cemetery car parks to stay overnight. One cemetery has had up to 20 motorhomes and campervans parked in its car park at one time. Not only could locals not find parking spots, but just imagine visiting a grave or going to a funeral and campers are there on holiday enjoying themselves. It's not only motorhomers driving badly. An organised event involving around 30 cars brandishing racing numbers has taken place around the Highlands and the NC500. There are many reports of cars being driven recklessly, including suicide driving, exceeding the speed limit, overtaking on blind bends and driving so hard they wore their brake pads out. One car was caught doing 117 miles an hour in a 60 zone. The 5-day event, which cost these idiots £150, includes a personal chef, personalised stickers and a support van. A warning though, the organisers have already taken bookings for next year's alternative holiday for like-minded car enthusiasts. on the 13th and to the 17th of May. Hopefully the midges will eat them alive. So you can see why locals are not happy with tourists. Tourism is great for the area. It brings in lots of money, but the majority don't see this money. It's mainly retail and the hospitality industries. There have been reports of locals making tourists feel unwelcome. One motorhomer was intimidated and threatened by a group of locals around 2 in the morning, even though he had booked and paid for an official North Coast camping spot. The locals kicked his motorhome and sounded their horns for several minutes. The poor guy felt totally terrified. Some locals say that the success of the NC500 has led to over-tourism, and some are unable to get deliveries due to selfish drivers. In some cases, delivery drivers refuse to drive down some roads because they are unable to turn their van around due to the amount of campervans parked in the car park at the end of the road. Some locals have even moved away from the area. One couple has got fed up with it all. They run a caravan park in Sutherland just off the NC500 and are requesting that the Scottish Government ban motorhomes and campervans from staying overnight in places that aren't designated, such as campsites and airs. This is because they believe they place unnecessary burden on local communities by parking inappropriately, disposing of their rubbish, chemical toilet and dirty water, as well as defecating at the side of the road. They have created a petition which has 900 signatures on it at the moment. The Scottish councils are adding more airs for overnight stays, but the couple say that this isn't enough and strict restrictions should be enforced. But what about locals who have motorhomes? There must be some about, and indeed there are. One local lives on the NC500 and has a medium-sized motorhome with all the mod cons in it so that he can off-grid around the route. He spends a few days a week staying where he works and then travels with his children for breaks along the route. He says that all waste is kept on board until he gets home, and he buys everything he needs as he travels. And when he parks up for the night, he uses spots where he's not going to leave any trace or block parking for walkers, and he stays for less than 10 hours. By the end of July 2022, the NC500 Rangers had recorded 5,500 tents being pitched in the wrong spots, 2,000 toileting sites, 2,276 fires with 71 extinguished due to the risk of wildfires, also issued 160 parking offences, removed cars from passing places, and gave advice on the outdoor access code to more than 11,000 people. If you're going to use the North Coast 500, then please think of others, the people who live there. Think of the impact you'll have on them and the environment. The phrase, "take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints," also applies to motorhomes too. Now, I know this sounds very ranty, but that isn't my intention. I wanted to report the news in the area and make people aware of the impact we are having on life in the Highlands and the NC500. The NC500 isn't the only beautiful area in Scotland. There are many others, so don't feel like you have to do the route. But if you do so, then the official North Coast 500 website has some information and advice for motorhomers and campervans. I'll leave a link in the video description. It's now your turn to have your say. What do you think should be done to stop this kind of behaviour? Are you a local who has witnessed anything like this where you live? Please leave your comments in the doobly-doo. We've got more Scottish camping news in this video where 2 chemical toilets have been dumped into streams. And if you think this video has earned it, then why not subscribe for more updates?